Welcome to All Things Marketing Podcast, the podcast that talks all things marketing for both franchise and multi-location marketing leaders. ATM is brought to you by PureDriven. We'll show you how to turn your brand into a money-making machine. Here's your host, Steve Rockwood.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Franchise ATM. My name is Steve Rockwood. I'm the marketing manager here at PureDriven. And today I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what geofencing is. So I've seen a lot of misconceptions as far as what geofencing is, even on websites where they offered geofencing. I was just looking at one, and they had in their top things to know about geofencing, 2 of them weren't actually true. So even the companies that created geofencing or offer geofencing don't 100% understand it. So I'm going to make a super high level overview here just to give you the very basics of what geofencing is. Now, that being said, there are multiple ways to do geofencing and multiple companies that offer geofencing solutions. So everyone is a little bit different, and it depends on how your business is run, if what type of business you have, and then if your business has an app or anything along those lines. So there's tons of things that can change. So I'm going to give you the high-level overview of basically how geofencing works, what it is good for, and then a couple different ways that people use it. So first, geofencing is basically the marketing tactic of drawing a fence around a location. So geolocation marketing is when you actually target locations by zip code or by a radius around a certain address, things like that. Whereas with geofencing, you're actually drawing a fence around the area that you want your ads to be in. So the way it works is you can target certain store locations or just earth locations, really, and you draw your fence around them. So a practical way to do this would be draw a fence around your store, and then find stores in your area or activities in your area where people that are likely to shop at your store, so your target audience, are also likely to go. So your competitors are a good place to start, and then other stores that might have to do with what you do, but might not be in the same industry or the same market as you. So for instance, let's say you own a used clothing store, right? And you know that people who shop at used clothing stores also like to shop for new clothes, but they usually go to the lower end places such as Walmart. You could put a geofence around the Walmart in your area because then you're getting those people and you're becoming top of mind for them. So there's a few ways that it works once they actually enter the geofence. So once your geofences are all laid out, you have all your advertising ready, then when someone enters it, there's a few different things that can happen. So I'm going to explain the easiest way. The first way that things can happen is, let's say I have my phone and I walk into an area that you have geofenced. Well, now I am going to basically, as long as I have target or location on my phone, which most people have theirs on because they have a GPS or some other apps that use location. As long as they have location on their phone, it's going to track. If they have location turned off on their phone, then there's really no way to track it. So that's the first thing with geofencing. Location has to be on. Most people have theirs on, though. So there's your first hurdle as far as your audience goes. But they usually have it on. So I walk into the geofence area. Now I am eligible to start receiving your advertising because now I've basically pinged your geofencing provider and told them, hey, I'm in the target market and I'm in the targeted area. Start hitting me with ads. Now, this is where there's some confusion. So if you do not have an app of your own, so you don't have, let's say, used clothing store. Let's just use Plato's Closet, right? Let's say you don't have a Plato's Closet phone app. Then you don't do push notifications. So a push notification is when you get a message on your phone, like when you get a text message, right? That's a push notification because your mom sent you a text message, it showed up. Or when you pass Kohl's, for instance, if you have the Kohl's app, you might get a push notification that says, hey, you're by Kohl's, get 20% off today, right? Those are push notifications. You don't have to actively search for them. They come to you. Now with geofencing, if you don't have an app, then you're not getting push notifications. You're eligible for display ads across whatever family of apps the company you're working with is working with. So usually they have a huge amount of apps that they work with in their digital marketing space. So now your ad is eligible to pop up across different platforms when people are using their phones. So when they're using, when they're browsing on their phones and using their different apps and all these different things, now they're eligible to get your display ads. And the cool thing about geofencing is the ads now know their location. So let's say your Plato's Closet ad pops up. There's actually a spot for it to say 1 mile away, 0.54 miles away. So they know that they're really close and they can get to you. So that's one really cool thing about geofencing ads that typical display ads wouldn't be able to do, is actually tell them how far away they are from your store right now. Pretty awesome. So the big takeaway from that point is you don't need to have an app, but having an app opens up different features, basically push notifications. So that's one thing to consider, but you do not need to have an app to do geofencing, which is the first really big, not conspiracy, big thing that I see people think is necessary. They think you have to have an app. You don't have to have an app. And I've seen companies that offer geofencing that say geofencing requires an app. It's not necessary. You don't need to have your own app. You just need to have customers that use their phones. So that's the biggest misconception. All right, besides that, I would just like to say that the geofencing is best for brick and mortar locations, so retail stores, things like that, because you're really targeting other brick and mortar locations to bring people to your brick and mortar location. It could work for e-commerce and if you're in the right industry, but really geofencing is best for retail right now. I'm sure there's some super creative ways to get your online business rolling by using geofencing. However, since this podcast is focused on franchise and all things marketing in the franchise world, you're probably best off using this for your retail stores. Now, that being said, if you're a franchise that's in, let's say, accounting, you can target the other big accounting firms in the area. And then when people go in there, you can start pushing an advertisement to them. And you can actually specialize your targeting too on your ads. So for instance, let's say H&R Block is your competitor, right? You can actually, when someone enters the H&R Block in your area, you can actually have a display ad running to them that says, let's call it mypersonalaccountingfirm.com. You can say mypersonalaccountingfirm.com is 30% less expensive than H&R Block. Come do your taxes with us today. So you can actually competitor target with your display ads as well. That is pretty cool and pretty useful. So there are different ways to do it. There's a ton of different providers. Here at PureDriven, we offer geofencing, and we offer it in the way that we offer it. And I'm sure if you went to a different digital marketing agency, they would offer you geofencing, and there'd probably be some differences. So there's always going to be discrepancies with geofencing, but that was pretty much the high level of how it works. I hope that took the veil away a little bit on the confusion, cleared up some of the fog. So that is all I have time for today, my friends. I hope that helped. High level of geofencing, and I will see you here next time on Franchise ATM. Thank you for listening. Have a good one.
You just listened to All Things Marketing Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch every new episode every day. Want to be a guest on the show? Sign up at puredriven.com/guest. See you tomorrow here at the ATM.